and welcome back to another video. It's been a minute. It's been pretty busy, but it's just been boring. We haven't been doing anything really interesting, but we're here doing a couple things on the farm, so I figured I'd bust out the GoPro again and start recording a couple of videos again. We're getting close to harvest, maybe only like 7 to 8 weeks before we'll start digging out these peanuts. So we're out here. We're gonna start chemigating some calcium onto this field, since we do have Virginias. The peanuts themselves, I'll pull a couple of them out here. These peanuts themselves, they get quite fragile, and this stem right here that's supposed to hold on to them, it can get quite fragile and they fall off during digging. So we want to put some calcium out on the field, strengthen those roots a little bit, gives us essentially better yields in the near future. First thing I'm gonna do, turn this off. I actually need my my tools, my screwdrivers. This is a little setup that we got going on here. I'm gonna need a flat and a Phillips. We got our toad on the front, chemigator on the back. And instead of using that, because of how much we're putting down, we're putting a gallon to the acre, that when you go to certain fields, you can't quite fit enough in here. And instead of refilling it so many times, we just go straight from a tote. We just got it teed directly in here to where we can still use this gauge here to see how many ounces a minute we're doing. But I got my wire here. There we go. And then I just connect this to the pivot, which I'm gonna need that wire. Let's put that guy up there. Trying to do all this one-handed and left-handed all at the same time. But I'm gonna connect it to this contactor right here. This is the right one that we connected it the other day already to make sure it's the right one. Connected here. The hose, that hose right there, I'm going to connect right on that side of the main pot right here. So this right here, I'm going to connect it right here. There's a little check valve in here. Going to connect the chemigator right there, and start chemigating on some calcium. All right, wires are connected. Now let's make sure that it's gonna be going the right way. Wait a second for this to boot up. All right, we're good. I have to turn water on and accessory on. Put it on reverse. Looks like it might just take a second to load, because when I have the water on, I want to make sure there's a little wire that leads right there. I want to make sure that there's actually pressure in the pivot, because there's a low pressure shutoff sensor on there, so it's going to take a while to boot up. But once it does, I'm going to come over here to the GIM chemigator and make sure that it's turning counterclockwise like it's supposed to. And we're good. It's spinning the right way, just like it's supposed to. All right, everything in there is good. Now I just got to make sure the chemigator is actually pumping, which I did connect it. I haven't bled any of the air out of there, but I will. There's still gonna be a little bit of air in there. I can test it. This is fine. It's just calcium. It's just fertilizer. I'm gonna wait a little bit for the air to come out. As you can tell, whenever I'm holding my finger over it, it's not actually pumping just yet. It's not building pressure. So I definitely got to make sure all the air is out of the lines for it to actually pump. There it goes. And now it's pumping. It's building pressure. Can't hold it shut with my finger. I mean, if I could if I really wanted to, but the amount of pressure that I'm putting up against there it can pump through this little check valve that's in this pivot right here. Now my hands are just gonna be all fertilizy, but I'll just end up washing them just by a nozzle, or I even got some water in the back of my truck. But the main thing I want to do is open this valve down here and gets up to a certain point. I'll close that one. Now I just want to make sure, I must get a stopwatch out after I wash my hands, of course. Get my phone out of here, and then I'll start a stopwatch, make sure that's pumping exactly 1.5 ounces a minute. That's what it's supposed to do. Never mind, I actually need to slow down the pivot a little bit more than what I had planned, just because if I left it the way it was, then it would be around way too early in the morning when it would still be dark out. So now I slowed it down to it'll be around roughly at like 10 to 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock in the morning. Just that way early morning I can still get over here, check to make sure it's still pumping. I like to check up on it as frequently as possible, a couple times a day preferably, to make sure it's still working right. I've had it happen a couple times where it stopped working on me, so I like to check up on it just in case. So it's not going to be around in 70 hours, so instead of doing 1.5 ounces a minute, I'm going to have to redo my math to make sure it's going to be doing the right amount of liquid for the right amount of hours. And we're good to go. She's hooked up and she sat right. Now for some other odd end jobs. This field right here, it's been so hot lately that some spider mites have popped up in our field. So they're not bad enough where we need to spray the entire field, because the chemical that you use to spray spider mites can get very, very expensive. So what we're doing right now, it's a little breezy out today, a little windy, but shouldn't make too big of a difference. But what we're doing, we're just got a little tank on the back of the four-wheeler. We're driving across the field. We can spray any spider mites that we see. They're pretty easy to spot. They kind of wilt the whole plant down. So that's the next bit that I'm gonna do. See how we already did a little bit on this field. We got maybe half the field done already, and so do a little bit more. Maybe I could even finish it yet today. And here's the rig that I'm gonna be using. We just put a tank on the back of the four-wheeler here. I just drive down the rows, whatever I see. This is a gun that can spray pretty far, for minimum 13 feet. With a little bit of wind, you can go up to like 20-25 feet. So definitely I can keep the chemical away from me, spray a good distance away, so I'm all out of harm's way when I spray this. So I'm gonna go spray for some spider mites, then I'll see y'all tomorrow. I got something planned for tomorrow. Well, that spraying adventure was cut short. Yep, that little prong is supposed to be on there. So pump wasn't getting electricity, and we have this guy plugged directly into the four-wheeler. But luckily I know we do have one here in the barn somewhere. Ah, yep, there it is. We do have one. So I'm just gonna splice it back into here where it's supposed to be, and should be back up and running. Well, I spliced it, got a new end on it, but it still doesn't work. So now I'm starting to believe it's something to do with this switch, because I plugged it into this four-wheeler and into that one, and it doesn't work both times. Now I'm trying to figure out if there's anything wrong in here. Can't find anything. Who knows? I'm tinkering with it right now. We'll see if I find something, but if I don't find anything wrong with it, it's probably something to do with the switch. So I'll probably have to buy a new switch and try that tomorrow, but we'll see. I'll try to see if I can take this thing apart right here, see if there's something wrong on the inside somewhere. Well, it was that switch. It just was not grounding inside there. Took it apart, cleaned it. Now she actually works. So don't need to get a new part tomorrow. All right, it's the next day, and the plan for today is to go look at a peanut combine. On R3 combines that we have, on the back for all the chaff that comes out the back. The spreaders that come with the combine, they are terrible. They don't do anything, and we're not wanting to bale any of our peanut hay this year due to the price being very low, and also it does help with the dirt not blowing as much with all the chaff staying on the field. So we figured our balers, they're down south, they're farther away from us, so it's not worth it to bring those balers out here. It's quite the long drive. It's a lot of work to haul them back this way, so we figured we just won't bale anything this year. So we were wanting to get a newer or better chaff spreader than what's on there, and there's a secondary company that sells them, and there's a farmer in our area. He ended up buying one, I think last year or the year before or something, and he said I could gladly go take a look at his, the way he set it up. I bought the same one that he did. I'm gonna go take a look at his combine to see how he hooked it up. We have been working on our combines a little bit. We're trying to get them ready for harvest, as it is only like 7 weeks out, maybe 6 at this point, who knows. We're getting close to harvest, so we're working on the combines, trying to get them ready. I'm gonna go take a look at his spreader, see how he mounted it, take a couple of pictures, see how he mounted the hydraulic hoses, and to see if we can even put a switch in there somewhere to where when we're harvesting in the field, we can still hopefully turn on and off the spreader. That way we can have the chaff kind of pile up in the middle, and we can see our tail loss and everything, because there's no real way of they're old combines, so the only way to check to see what your losses are is to go back there and check. And so if the spreader's doing its job and it's spreading it all over the place, it'll be hard to tell what's loss and what's digger loss and what's combine loss. So we want to definitely be able to turn it on and off to where we can check our losses. So that's where I'm head off to now. I'm gonna go head over to his combine. We're gonna take a look at it. Well, here it is. This is what we're wanting to put on our combine. So this is a million times better than what it is on there currently. On ours, yeah, you probably can still see it right there. That's where the 2 discs are supposed to attach to. You got to take off your shields, and 90% of our chaff comes from down here and doesn't even land on those 2 spinning discs that would normally be up there. There's a extra couple of bars up there, brings majority of the hay all the way to the top and then falls down. I guess maybe in Georgia, wherever they have where they harvest greener, maybe there would work better. There it would bring majority of the straw up and then fall down on top of the spinning disc and then throw it out, but almost nothing gets thrown out by those. One combine broke one of those gearboxes that's up there, and so we had to take off the discs, and we couldn't tell the difference between that combine and the other one as far as the way we're spreading out. So we realized it really is pointless having those on there. It does nothing. So like this, we can leave our shields on, which obviously this is not our combine, but we'd leave the shields on. As you can see, he did the same thing. He left the shields on, and it would just come right down onto these spinning discs and throw it out just like any other fertilizer or manure spreader or anything. So this would work a whole lot better. All the leaves, all the straw, everything flows nice down here. This all shakes down, so it just feeds it right where it's supposed to and spreads it out. It's still not 100% perfect, but it's way better than what comes from factory. So this is exactly what we're wanting to put on ours. It looks like it's fairly simple as far as it just bolts with 2 bolts onto the frame. It looks like he might have also extended it on this is factory. This looks like he extended this, so we might have to do the same thing to ours. But the main thing that I'm curious about is the hydraulics. So I'm going to try to follow through. I believe that's the one piece of the hydraulics. I'm going to see where it leads, and I'm going to take a look at it, see how he hooked it all up. So yeah, that looked pretty simple. His hired hand actually, he showed me around. He showed me where the hoses, hydraulic hoses and everything connect to. We figured it all out. It looks very, very simple. So we're definitely gonna, I already ordered them yesterday. I just wanted to know exactly how to put them on. I took quite a few pictures of where the hydraulic hoses and everything leads to. So whenever I get these in, he said they would deliver them maybe in like 3 weeks, give or take. So whenever they get delivered, then we'll put them on the combines, and I'll show you all that. I'll make a whole video about it, us putting them on there. Or at least that's the plan anyway. But for now, I'm gonna head back to the farm. Gonna finish spraying some spider mites, or spraying 4 spider mites. And guess we'll see y'all in the next video. As always, I do appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.